You might not have noticed it, but Hollywood is full of famous siblings who have managed to keep their family ties hidden in plain sight. Imagine seeing two actors on screen, their chemistry undeniable, yet you never guessed they were connected by blood. Do you recognize this famous pair of actors? Could it be Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, or maybe Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine? I'm sure only a handful of you could guess correctly. If you know who they are, give a thumbs up to the video. If not, feel free to take a wild guess in the comments and let's see if you're spot on. Ben Savage and Fred Savage. Two names that might instantly bring you back to your childhood TV screens. But did you know that these two iconic TV characters were actually brothers in real life? Fred Savage, best known for his role as Kevin Arnold on The Wonder Years, captured the essence of childhood nostalgia for millions. His portrayal of a young boy navigating life in the 60s and 70s earned him critical acclaim and countless nominations, including Emmys and Golden Globes. But Fred didn't stop at acting. Behind the camera, he became a director and producer, shaping some of the biggest TV hits, like Modern Family and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Ben Savage, younger and with a face you probably recognized as Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World, became a beloved star in the 90s. Corey's charm captured the struggles of a generation, and when he reprised the role in Girl Meets World, it felt like we were all coming home. Though both brothers took different paths, Fred behind the scenes, Ben in front, both are legends in their own right. Can you recall which brother made the biggest impact on your childhood? Let's talk about it in the comments. Blake and Dylan, Tuomi Wilhoy, a name you might not recognize, but these twin brothers were behind the iconic roles of Nikki and Alex Katsopoulos on Full House. While millions tuned in to watch their mischievous adventures in the Tanner household, few knew these two would go on to lead entirely separate careers outside of Hollywood. Blake, now a firefighter with the Los Angeles Fire Department, has put his life on the line every day, dedicating himself to saving others. Dylan, on the other hand, found his way into the world of sound design. His work behind the scenes, especially on projects like Game of Thrones and Furious 7, has earned him an Emmy nomination. While their early fame on a hit sitcom might have been short-lived, their journeys afterward make their story even more remarkable. Imagine going from childhood stardom to saving lives and working on world-class productions. Talk about taking unexpected turns. Now, let's talk about the Affleck brothers, Ben and Casey. It's hard to find a Hollywood duo with more accolades between them. The two were raised in Berkeley, California, and both embarked on their journeys to stardom in the 90s. Ben first made waves as a screenwriter for Good Will Hunting, which won him an Academy Award at just 25. He soon became one of Hollywood's go-to leading men, with roles in blockbuster hits like Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, and Batman v Superman. Not to mention, his directing career took off with Argo, winning Best Picture at the Oscars. Casey, on the other hand, has been more selective with his roles. Known for his quiet, powerful performances, he earned an Oscar for Manchester by the Sea in 2017. Though they've worked together on a few projects, they've each carved their own path. Ben in big-budget action films and Casey in intense, character-driven dramas. It's fascinating to watch them rise to the top in their own unique ways, isn't it? Then there's the Murray family, a trio of brothers who each found their place in the entertainment industry. Bill Murray, of course, is the household name. With his legendary comedic timing, he's delivered some of Hollywood's most iconic performances in films like Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, and Lost in Translation. But did you know his brothers, Brian Doyle Murray and Joel Murray, have made their own impressive marks? Brian co-wrote Caddyshack and has appeared in numerous films, while Joel has made a name for himself with memorable roles in Mad Men and Dharma and Greg. The Murray brothers have collectively shaped American comedy in ways few could have predicted, and yet Most people still don't realize that Bill's iconic humor is backed by two equally talented siblings. Hollywood families like the Baldwins are another example of this phenomenon. With Alec Baldwin being the most well-known, it's easy to forget that his three brothers, Daniel, William, and Stephen, have all also carved out their own careers in the industry. Alec's versatility in both drama and comedy has made him a household name, while his brothers have each tackled different genres. Daniel, for instance, had a strong presence in Homicide, Life on the Street, while William captured the hearts of fans in romantic roles in Flatliners and Backdraft. Then there's Stephen, who has brought a unique edge to his roles, particularly in The Usual Suspects and Biodome. Together, they represent an iconic acting dynasty, one that helped shape Hollywood's landscape, each of them finding success on their own terms. And finally, the Sheen Estevez brothers, Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, have one of the most surprising Hollywood sibling stories. Despite their different last names, these two are the sons of legendary actor Martin Sheen. While Charlie Sheen rose to fame with 2.5 Men and his famous roles in Platoon and Wall Street, Emilio Estevez carved out a unique career with films like The Breakfast Club and The Mighty Ducks. Both brothers have had their share of ups and downs in the public eye, but they've each had a remarkable journey in their own right. Though they've followed their own paths, the connection between them is undeniable. It's hard to imagine now, but when Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen were first breaking into Hollywood, few realized they were brothers. Emilio kept the family's original surname, a quiet rebellion against the Hollywood machine, while Charlie leaned into a more polished stage name. That choice alone set the tone for everything that followed. Two brothers, two completely different approaches. But what never changed, what always ran deep, was their loyalty to one another. In a world where fame often divides, theirs has been a rare story of silent unity. Emilio, born May 12, 1962, became a core face of the 1980s Brat Pack. His roles in The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire made him a generational icon. Yet even at the height of his fame, he pulled back. He shifted his gaze behind the camera, crafting heartfelt, intimate stories like The Way, a film starring their father, Martin Sheen. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it was deeply personal, and it earned him the quiet kind of respect that lasts. Meanwhile, Charlie Sheen, born September 3, 1965, went full throttle. His performances in Platoon and Wall Street showcased undeniable talent. But it was 2.5 Men that made him a household name, and one of the highest-paid actors in television history. At $1.8 million per episode, he became a symbol of peak TV stardom. And yet, the higher he climbed, the harder he was pulled by controversy. That tug-of-war between genius and chaos became part of his brand. Still, when you look closely, there's an undeniable symmetry. Despite the wildly different paths, they came together more than once, most memorably in Men at Work. Their careers became a kind of dual melody, one soft and reflective, the other loud and unpredictable. And somehow, they still harmonized. Then come Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Their journey didn't just start early, it exploded. At just 9 months old, they became the face of Full House, sharing the role of Michelle Tanner. It was an unprecedented beginning, and they seized it with startling maturity. By 6, they weren't just child stars, they were producers. Dual Star Entertainment was their empire, and they ruled it with twin precision. Between the late 90s and early 2000s, their direct-to-video films and hit shows like Passport to Paris and Two of a Kind created a media juggernaut. But the real twist? They walked away. At the height of their power, they retreated from the screen and turned toward fashion. Not just as a vanity pivot, but as serious, game-changing designers. In 2006, the Row debuted. Its clean silhouettes and refined tailoring shattered expectations. Suddenly, the Olsen twins weren't just former actresses. They were setting the tone for minimalist high fashion. By 2015, they'd won the CFDA's top design honor, twice. That quiet transformation from tween icons to couture legends remains one of Hollywood's most successful reinventions. Their story proves that walking away from the spotlight doesn't always mean fading. It can mean evolving. And today, though rarely seen, their presence is felt in every stitched hem of the row's elegant silhouettes. Rob Lowe and Chad Lowe offer another striking contrast. Both started young. Both wanted the same dream. But how they got there, and what they did with it, couldn't be more different. Rob, born March 17, 1964, lit up the screen in The Outsiders, About Last Night, and St. Elmo's Fire. His charm was magnetic, but after some rough years in the late 80s, he made a remarkable shift, embracing television. From The West Wing to Parks and Recreation, Rob reinvented himself as a beloved, versatile actor with staying power. Over 70 credits later, he's still drawing audiences. His secret? He never let a setback define the narrative. Chad Lowe, born January 15, 1968, walked a quieter path, but one with just as much impact. He won an Emmy in 1993 for his role in Life Goes On, where he portrayed one of television's first lead characters living with HIV. The performance was groundbreaking, emotionally raw, and years ahead of its time. Later, he became Byron Montgomery in Pretty Little Liars, introducing him to a new generation. But Chad didn't stop at acting. Behind the scenes, he quietly built a reputation as a trusted television director, helming episodes for Bones, SVU, and Lucifer. While Rob dazzled in front of the camera, Chad shaped stories from behind it, both finding purpose on their own terms. And then there's the trio you almost forget are brothers: Luke, Chris, and Liam Hemsworth. Hailing from Melbourne, Australia, the Hemsworth brothers are a force of nature. Chris, born August 11, 1983, needs no introduction. As Thor, he didn't just lift a hammer. He lifted an entire franchise. His performances blend strength with vulnerability, earning him fans across continents. With over $11 billion in global box office revenue, his success is carved in cinematic stone. But Liam, born January 13, 1990, carved his own niche. As Gale in The Hunger Games, he brought subtlety and sincerity to a franchise defined by rebellion. His turns in The Last Song and Isn't It Romantic proved his range extends far beyond dystopia. Luke, the eldest, born November 5, 1980, may not have had the blockbuster breakout, but his work on HBO's Westworld solidified his place among serious television talent. And what's most refreshing? These brothers never rode each other's coattails. They've never made a film together. No publicist-packaged team-ups. Just 3 individual careers, built on separate strengths. It's a rare thing in an industry obsessed with branding. What's striking in all these stories is how fame morphs within the same bloodline. Some chase it with fire, others with restraint. Some find it early, others grow into it slowly. But in each case, the thread is the same. Family dynamics wrapped in the glint of the spotlight. And no matter how bright that spotlight gets, what happens behind the curtain often says the most. At just 18, River Phoenix stunned Hollywood with a searing performance in Running on Empty, a role that would earn him an Academy Award nomination and a permanent seat among the industry's brightest young stars. But it was his haunting portrayal in My Own Private Idaho that made him a legend. River wasn't just acting. He was revealing his soul. Then, as fast as he rose, the light vanished. On Halloween night, 1993, outside the Viper Room in Los Angeles, River collapsed. He was 23. That moment didn't just end a life. It shattered a generation's belief in invincibility. And somewhere in that crowd of heartbreak stood his younger brother, Joaquin, just 19, unknowingly staring into the void that would forge his own path. For years, Joaquin stayed quiet, almost invisible, like a shadow retreating behind the spotlight that had once burned too brightly. But silence wasn't surrender. He re-emerged, cautiously at first, taking on roles in To Die For, then Gladiator, where his intensity couldn't be ignored. Still, it was Walk the Line that showed his full range. Troubled, magnetic, unforgettable. And then, in 2020, Joaquin did the unthinkable. He won the Oscar for Joker, a role so raw and transformative it left audiences shaken. He never lets you forget River. Whether accepting an award or doing press, he speaks as if River is still here, guiding, watching, whispering from the wings. Joaquin didn't just inherit the torch, he reignited it. Then there's the Penn brothers, Sean and Chris, raised in a household dripping with Hollywood heritage. Sean, born in 1960, exploded onto the scene with a ferocity rarely matched. His roles in Mystic River, Milk, and Dead Man Walking earned him 2 Academy Awards and a place among the greats. But Chris Penn, the younger brother with a different kind of charisma, never reached the same heights. He didn't need to. His performances in Reservoir Dogs and Footloose were grittier, more grounded. Quentin Tarantino once said Chris was one of the most underrated actors of his generation. But Hollywood can be unkind to those who don't fit the mold. Chris passed away in 2006 at just 40 years old, a quiet tragedy that still lingers in the air. The spotlight can be brutal, especially when shared with someone who commands it. The Cassidy brothers, David, Sean, and Patrick, wrote a different story, one drenched in teen hysteria and feathered hair. David was the heartbeat of the Partridge Family, a voice that sold over 25 million records. Girls screamed, crowds surged, and for a moment, he was untouchable. Mark Wahlberg's portfolio is stacked with ventures, Wahlburgers, F-45 training, and a production company behind Entourage and Boardwalk Empire. He's a calculated mogul who's turned his brand into a billion-dollar machine. Let's break it down. Mark's financial reach is massive. He's owned high-end vehicles like Rolls-Royces and Ferraris, worn Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe watches, and lived in multi-million-dollar estates in Beverly Hills and Las Vegas. And finally, Matt and Kevin Dillon, brothers who never quite shared the same limelight, but both left their imprint. Matt exploded in the 1980s with The Outsiders and Drugstore Cowboy, then proved his staying power with an Oscar-nominated turn in Crash. Kevin, forever known as Johnny Drama from Entourage, played the lovable underdog, an actor's actor with heart. Their stories remind us that fame isn't always flashy. Sometimes, it's just about staying the course, riding the waves, and knowing that even when the spotlight dims, the work still speaks. Hollywood never forgets its legends or its losses. Each of these brothers shared a bond that went beyond red carpets and magazine covers. Their stories of fame, failure, resilience, and rebirth remind us that behind every headline is a human being trying to make sense of the spotlight. And sometimes, it's not about who burned brightest, but who stayed lit the longest. From TV's sweetheart to unscripted rebel, Joyce DeWitt gave us drama, laughs, and heart. Like, comment, and subscribe, because the backstage tea's just getting started. Stay tuned, roommates.